I never thought silence could be this loud. The kind of silence that doesn't come from peace, but from being forgotten. 3 years ago, I packed everything I owned into a second-hand sedan with one headlight broken and drove away from everything that once felt like home. I didn't leave in anger. I didn't leave for revenge. I left because I didn't matter. And when a person feels invisible in their own family, sometimes disappearing feels like the only way to breathe. My name doesn't really matter, not yet, because I could be anyone. Your neighbor, your cousin, or maybe a version of you, the one who always felt like the background character in someone else's life. My father called me the quiet one. My mother said I had no ambition. My older brother was the star, the golden child with a shiny law degree and the family pride wrapped around his finger like a ring he didn't even know he was wearing. And me? I was the mistake that stayed too long. The empty chair no one noticed was missing. So I left. I crossed state lines with nothing but a half-broken GPS and an address I had found on a job board for a warehouse shift in the outskirts of a city I had never been to. I didn't even say goodbye. And they didn't call. Not the next day, not the next week, not for 3 whole years. I built my life from scratch. I worked night shifts. I slept in basements. I saved every dollar. I learned to fix computers, then networks, then entire data systems. I got good, really good. And slowly I moved up. From dusty server rooms to glass offices, from late rent notices to stock options, from invisible to a millionaire. But none of that healed the wound of knowing no one had even asked if I was alive until last week. That's when I got the call. Unknown number. A hesitant voice. "Hey, it's Mom." My hand froze. She said they were planning my brother's wedding. Big, fancy, expensive. Of course. And she just realized I might want to come, might want to be part of the family again, like nothing had happened, like I hadn't disappeared and been forgotten. She didn't ask where I had been. She didn't ask how I was. She just said, "Everyone will be there. You should too. Your brother would be surprised." Surprised. That word hit different when you've been erased. She didn't know that the son she once called lazy now drove a custom black Mercedes-Benz and owned the entire building where her precious son's law firm paid rent. She didn't know that I lived in a penthouse where silence was still loud, but now it echoed off marble and glass. I didn't know what to say, but I said I'd think about it. And now I stand in front of my closet, looking at the tailored suit I wore when I signed the contract that changed everything, the one that made me rich, but not healed, because money fixes a lot of things, but not being forgotten. And this wedding might be the moment everything comes full circle, or crashes. What would you do if the people who left you behind suddenly wanted you back, only because you had something they didn't? Dear friends, our channel is still very small and your likes help us a lot to reach more people and grow. Please support us and also subscribe to the channel. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. I just laid there staring at the ceiling of my apartment. A place so quiet and perfect, it sometimes felt like a painting instead of a home. My mind kept replaying her voice. Not because I missed it, but because I had forgotten how cold it sounded. Even in softness, it carried judgment. That was always the tone in our house. Polished love, surface-level kindness, appearances, what people would think. We smiled for pictures and screamed behind doors. I remember being 16, sitting at the dinner table while my brother spoke about his achievements at school. Dad's eyes lit up. Mom nodded with pride. Then they turned to me. "I passed my exams," I said. No one responded. Not even a, "That's good." It wasn't enough. I wasn't enough. I learned to shrink early, to make myself smaller. Quit sports because I didn't get trophies. Quit music because my voice cracked once. Quit speaking at dinner altogether because silence was safer than rejection. I started working at 17. Small jobs, fast food, stocking shelves, no one noticed. My money went into buying my own clothes, food, sometimes even helping pay bills. But my name was never mentioned when they listed who helped. I got sick once. A fever so high I hallucinated. I called my mom. She told me to take Tylenol and not make a scene. My brother got a cough, and the whole family rearranged their schedules. By the time I turned 21, I decided I would never depend on anyone again. So I studied, not in college. They never encouraged that for me. But online. Nights filled with YouTube tutorials, second-hand textbooks, free coding boot camps. I built a laptop from junk parts just to teach myself. I failed. A lot. But each failure felt better than their neglect. Then came Victor. He was the night manager at the warehouse. Tough, quiet, but honest. One night during break, he saw me fixing a busted scanner and asked where I'd learned that. I shrugged. He gave me a number, said it was his cousin who ran a small IT company that needed someone willing to learn. It didn't pay much, but it was something. I went to the interview wearing the only button-down shirt I owned, 2 sizes too big, sleeves rolled up. They hired me the next day. The office was small, a mess, but it was mine. A chance. I worked double shifts, half the day at the warehouse, half learning IT systems. I slept 4 hours a night, ate ramen, lost weight, didn't care, because I felt something I had never felt at home, seen. 1 year later, I had built a full CRM system for a local startup. That startup got acquired. They offered me shares. That was the beginning. I didn't tell anyone, not because I was hiding, but because there was no one to tell. Success doesn't feel like success when there's no one to say, "I'm proud of you." Still, I kept going. Started my own consultancy, got contracts, built a team. Then came my first million. I sat alone on my balcony that night, staring at the city lights. No champagne, no party, just tears. Because the one thing I wanted most, someone to care, was still missing. I sent my mum a text that night. "Hope you're well. Just thinking of you." No response. That was 2 years ago. And now suddenly, she calls, because there's a wedding. Because my brother, the one who never spoke to me unless it made him look good, is getting married. And I'm... what? The missing puzzle piece to complete the perfect family photo. The bitterness scares me. I don't want to be that person. But how do you show up for people who never showed up for you? I look at the invitation again. Gold trim, elegant lettering. His name first, hers second. My name nowhere. But Mom says, "You should be there. Family matters." Does it? And what if the family that hurt you, it isn't the one you belong to anymore? Maybe some of us were meant to build a new name, one not defined by rejection. Maybe this wedding is not just an invitation, but a test, a door. And I don't know yet if I want to walk through it. Let us know in the comments how you're feeling while listening to this story. The drive to my hometown was long, not because of the distance, but because every mile took me closer to a version of myself I thought I had buried. I left early, watching the city shrink in my rearview mirror. The skyline that had become my home faded into the morning haze as highways turned to back roads, and memories began to claw their way up from the depths I'd kept locked for years. It's strange how places don't change as much as people do. The same gas station on the corner, the same broken fence outside my high school, the same neighborhood dogs barking at passing cars. But I was no longer the boy who once rode his bike here with pockets full of doubt. Still, I felt it, the tightening in my chest, the whisper of that old voice. "You're not good enough here. You never were." I pulled up to my parents' house, white siding, trimmed hedges. The American dream dipped in quiet disappointment. The front door opened before I even knocked. My mother stood there holding a dish towel like she had been cleaning or pretending to. Her eyes widened when she saw me, not in joy, but in disbelief, like she wasn't expecting me to actually show up. "You look different," she said. I smiled politely. "It's been 3 years." She hugged me like someone who knew they should, but didn't quite remember how. Her arms felt fragile. Her voice trembled when she asked if I wanted tea. The house smelled the same. Lemon cleaner and memories. Then I saw him, my brother, standing at the top of the stairs, shirtless, smug and surprised. "Well, well, if it isn't the ghost," he said. I forced a smile. "Nice to see you too." He laughed, coming down the stairs slowly like he owned the house, which in many ways he did. He still lived there while planning a wedding that probably cost more than most people's homes. "Mum said you might come. Didn't believe her. Thought you were too busy with your mysterious life, he added. I shrugged. I made time. We sat in the living room, the air thick with things unsaid. They asked basic questions: where I lived, what I did. I kept it vague, said I worked in tech, consulted, kept it light. The moment I mentioned I had started my own company, my brother's face changed. A flicker, a crack. Then came the bomb. So, he said, you're doing well, huh? I heard from a friend. You own something big now, right? I looked at him, calmly. A few things, yes. Mom leaned forward. You mean, you're successful? I nodded. Silence, not joy, not pride, just a strange pause, like they were recalibrating everything they thought they knew about me. Then he said it. Think you could help us out with the wedding? It's a bit tight, budget-wise. And you know, family helps family. I stared at him, not because of the money. I didn't care about that. But because it took all of 3 minutes from hello to can you give? I laughed quietly. That's why I was invited, isn't it? My mum flinched. Don't be dramatic. I'm not angry, I said softly. Just disappointed. Again. The room went cold. You disappeared, my brother snapped. Don't act like a victim. I looked him in the eyes. I disappeared because no one cared that I stayed. That shut him up. I stood, walked to the window and watched the wind rustle the tree I used to climb as a kid, back when I still thought I belonged. You know, I said, still facing the glass, I used to imagine this moment differently. I thought maybe one day you'd be proud of me, or ask how I did it, or even just say, I'm glad you're okay. My voice cracked a little, but all I got was, can you pay for our party? My mother began to cry, quietly, the kind of tears you don't expect to work, but hope might soften a heart. I didn't flinch, because something had changed in me, and I realized then, this wasn't about them anymore. This was about me. And maybe forgiveness doesn't always mean return. I didn't leave the house immediately. I stayed for the sake of closure, or maybe because a part of me still wanted to believe something good could come out of this. The wedding was 2 days away, and they wanted me there, not just as a guest now, but as some sort of silent investor. The night before the ceremony, I sat alone on the porch swing, listening to the creak of old wood and the distant echo of my childhood. The stars looked the same, but I didn't. Then the door opened. It was my father. He hadn't said much since I arrived, just a quiet hey and a nod that felt more like a formality than affection. But now he sat next to me. No small talk, no, how have you been? Just silence. Then, finally, you've changed. I nodded. I had to. He looked ahead, hands folded. You were always different. I just didn't know how to understand you. I turned to him. You didn't try. He took a long breath, like the weight of years was pressing on his chest. I was raised to believe that the loud ones were the strong ones, the ones who made noise, took space, demanded things. You were quiet, thoughtful. I mistook that for weakness. I was wrong. The air got still. I never hated you, he said, but I failed you, and for that, I'm sorry. The apology didn't fix everything, but it pierced something buried. I didn't need you to be perfect, I whispered. Just present. He nodded, eyes misty. Better late than never, I smiled. Small, tired, but real. The next day, I got dressed in my best suit, not to impress anyone, but because I had earned every thread. The wedding was extravagant. Chandeliers, white roses, a string quartet. Laughter filled the air, clinking glasses and polished smiles. My brother stood at the altar like a prince, crowned by a kingdom of admiration. I sat quietly in the back, observing. No one announced my presence. No one asked who I was, until halfway through the reception, when the microphone was handed to the groom's older brother. Me. I didn't plan to speak, but I walked up slowly, adjusting my jacket, feeling 100 eyes settle on me, some confused, some curious, some already judging. I cleared my throat. Family, I began, is not made of perfection. It's made of presence, of people who show up when it matters, not just for celebrations, but for the silent nights, the broken moments. I paused. My brother and I, we haven't always been close. We're very different men, but today I hope we find something stronger than pride. I hope we find peace. The room was still. I looked at him. He didn't smile, but he nodded, slightly. Maybe that was enough. I left before dessert. Back on the road, heading away from the town that never held me, I felt something strange. Relief. Not because everything was fixed, but because I had finally faced it all. Without bitterness, without anger, without begging for love I no longer needed. If you've ever walked into a room where you once felt invisible and stood tall anyway, leave a comment below with the word, rise. Because sometimes rising isn't about proving them wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you were never broken. Long after the wedding, I sat alone in my apartment once more. The city lights blinked in silence, casting long shadows across the marble floor. This time, though, the silence felt different. Not like emptiness, but peace. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like I needed to prove anything. I didn't feel small, or forgotten, or invisible. I felt grounded, seen, not by them, but by something greater. I opened the Bible I hadn't touched in months, not because I was looking for answers, but because I felt like something had been guiding me all along, even when I didn't notice. Even in the loneliness, even in the rejection, even when my phone never rang and my name was never spoken at the dinner table. I landed on a verse I had once read long ago, but now it sounded like it was written just for me. The stone which the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Psalm 118:22. That hit me like a whisper from heaven. The stone, the one no one wanted, the one everyone overlooked. It didn't stay in the dirt, it didn't crumble. It became the cornerstone, the foundation of something greater, something strong, something eternal. Tears welled up in my eyes, not because I was sad, but because I realized that was me. I had been the rejected stone, misunderstood, pushed aside, uncelebrated. But in God's hands, nothing is wasted. Not pain, not silence, not years of feeling like the outsider in your own family. He had been building something with my life, quietly, patiently, even in the suffering, even in the waiting. And now, I saw it. I wasn't just successful. I was redeemed, healed, lifted, loved, not for what I had achieved, but for who I was all along. Sometimes we think we need people to validate us. We think their praise, their approval, their invitation is the reward. But the truth is, the real reward is knowing that God never forgot us, not for 1 second. He saw every tear we cried in silence. He heard the prayers we never spoke out loud, and He turned our rejection into purpose. If you've ever felt like the stone they threw away, let me tell you, you're the one He's building with. You're not forgotten, you're chosen. And no wedding invitation or family reunion can define your worth. Only His love can. It's been a month since the wedding. I haven't heard from them since. No follow-up call, no message, not even a thank you. And strangely, that's okay, because I didn't go back to be needed. I went back to see if I still needed them to see me. And I didn't. I saw myself, fully. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel the urge to explain who I had become. I didn't need applause or tears or public recognition. I had found something stronger, the quiet strength of someone who's healed. Not because everything was made right, but because I stopped needing it to be. Healing doesn't always come with apologies, or hugs, or dramatic reunions. Sometimes it's the soft realization that you made it anyway, that your story is valid, even if they never ask for it, that your growth counts, even if no one says, "I'm proud of you." I still drive my black Mercedes through the same city where I was once a warehouse temp. I still own buildings, still lead meetings, still sign contracts. But now, I carry a different kind of wealth. Peace and purpose. Because success without peace is just noise. And money without healing is still emptiness. But when you know who you are, truly, no silence can shake you. No rejection can define you. No invitation can make or break you. So if you're watching this today and wondering if you'll ever be seen, ever be valued, ever be free from the weight of feeling like you were always less, let me remind you of something sacred. You don't need to be accepted by those who overlooked you. You don't need to prove your worth to the ones who forgot you. You are already worthy, already called, already enough. And maybe, just maybe, this moment is your own turning point, your own wedding. Not of family, but of identity, of standing tall in your truth. If this story stirred something in you, I invite you to stay. There's another video waiting, one where we go deeper, not into my story, into yours. Click here to watch it next. And if you felt seen today, don't leave without subscribing. It's not about numbers. It's about never walking this road alone again. You're not forgotten, you're found. The real journey didn't end at the wedding. It began the moment I drove away, not with a heart full of anger, but with eyes wide open. That's when I saw the truth that had been waiting for me all along. We don't heal by going back to what broke us. We heal by growing into the version of ourselves that no longer needs to fit in broken spaces. And maybe that's the next chapter. Not revenge, not proving anything, but peace. Peace that stays even when the phone doesn't ring. Peace that speaks louder than applause. Peace that reminds you you've already won. This isn't just my story, it's a reflection of yours too. Because I know there are people watching right now, in small towns, big cities, quiet apartments, noisy families, who feel what I felt. Invisible, uninvited, unseen. But I promise you, there's something on the other side of that pain. Not just success, not just money, but meaning. And it starts with one step, letting go of who you were told to be, so you can finally become who you were created to be. That's the real luxury. That's the kind of rich that no wallet can measure. If you're ready to step into that next chapter, not mine, but yours, there's a path waiting, a story unfolding. Watch the next video, not because I need you to, but because you need to hear what's next. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe. Not for me, for the part of you that deserves to be reminded every single week. You're not behind, you're not broken, you're becoming. And I'll be right here, walking with you. One story at a time.